Hi, my name is Rachel. This is the Peach Knits podcast, and I'm refilming this because I actually did this already and the audio messed up, which is just... Wait, I'm gonna check to make sure the audio is working. Okay, we're good. I don't want to film this a third time, but basically I'm pretty late to getting this up for the month, based on the arbitrary schedule I've set in my own mind, so who's counting? Bless you. I don't know if you heard that. That was... Bless you. I've actually made some progress on my whips since filming the podcast originally last week, so that's cool. There's more to show you now. But today I'm just going to cover how I'm going with my Stashbust and what I've finished recently. I'm really excited to show you because I do have an FO, a finished object, this month, and it is this. This is the Calcifer beanie by VVN Stitches. I spoke a bit about this on my last podcast, but basically the original pattern for this was just a stitch grid. Is that the word? Yeah, stitch grid. And there was no instructions. It was like something that she made for herself on a whim, and she decided to put that grid out there. Since then, she has, because I remember downloading it because I saw it on TikTok when it went viral like a year ago, 2 years ago, can't remember now. And so I downloaded it and I started this back then, and then just left it because I hate color work. I will get to that, actually. I will get to that. I love how it looks. I hate doing it. But anyway, since releasing the grid for this, she's actually gone back and created a proper pattern with full instructions, recommendations for yarn, all of that. It's a crochet beanie that's knit. Okay, like it's a rib beanie. Ooh. I'm haunted. Okay. Everything is going wrong this month. This is amazing. It's ribbed beanie made with crochet, and I really love that effect. I don't know what's happening here. I think I carried a yarn and I really regret it because it drives me crazy seeing that. But the problem I have with this version of the beanie that I've made is that because I used the grid to make it, not the pattern, my gauge is questionable. It's quite big, and I have a really big head, so I don't even know who I could gift this to that it would fit on, because I have a big head and like you can't even see the top of the flames. So what I would recommend to you is, if you like the pattern, because I think aesthetically and visually it's such a cool idea, it looks so good. She adds little eyes because it's a calcifer beanie, so that makes sense, to the front, which makes it even cuter. I don't have like felt or anything to do that with, and I kind of just like it as a blue flame situation. So I'm probably going to leave it as is, but the size is a little bit annoying. So I would recommend you go check out the pattern and make one for yourself. The yarn I used was Squish acrylic yarn. I've got some left over here. Very cool. I love this yarn as an acrylic yarn. It's really easy to use. It's really good, not that I use it for this, but it's really good for amigurumi because my friend uses this for amigurumi and she says it's great. So if you're in Australia, pretty accessible yarn, acrylic yarn that I like. Problem with it though is I didn't know this. I should have tested this before I started using it for this beanie. But it doesn't do this like felting thing well. I had to brush it for so long and it's still barely fluffy, like there's a little bit, but like if you look at the original video that VVN Stitches made, hers is so fluffy. It's just like gorgeous. It looks amazing. And I'm pretty sure she used an acrylic for that. So I would knit a swatch of whatever yarn you're going to use to make this beanie and get a wire brush or a mohair brush and fluff it up before you go and crochet the whole thing like I did. But for now, I'm just glad. Don't look at that. What do you mean? I totally weaved in all the ends. Oh my god, I didn't even touch on that yet. Look at what I did. Look at my horrible, nasty handiwork. I was just like, I'm not weaving that in. I'm sorry, I'm not. It was so much. And I don't regret it for the sense of on the outside. For the most part, I didn't carry through the yarn and it looks so clean, it looks great. But the parts that I did carry through the yarn, you can like see, you know, a little bit, it drives me crazy. But the inside, man, there's gotta be a better way. There's gotta be a better way. I've seen people who have like a lot of ends braid them, which I thought was so cool. And I tried to do that with this, but it was just not, like, I think that makes sense if you're knitting a garment, so all the ends are like on one side of the garment and you can just kind of braid down. That makes sense. It didn't really work, or I also could just be bad at the technique because I've never tried it before, but it didn't really work for me. But I'm still really happy with how I made this. Like, last podcast, I was staring at this beanie just like freaking out, dude. It was so intimidating. I didn't want to get back into the color work. I was like, I don't even remember where I was in the grid. And now it's here finished. Yay, this is great. This is progress. So that's my finished object for the month. Highly recommend you go check out the actual pattern. In terms of whips, there's nothing really new to add. I've made some progress on this sweater for my mum. It is a mess, as is everything that I do. I'm working on the second sleeve now, so I've only just kind of started on the second sleeve, but last time I showed you I was about halfway done with this sleeve, and now it's fully done, which is beautiful. I kind of regret not going in more on the ribbing. Like, I feel like that could have been cinched a bit more, but I followed the pattern, so I was like, do I trust myself? Look what happens when I trust myself. I make silly things, so I'm gonna trust the pattern, and kind of wish I trusted myself on this one, but it's fine. I think it'll still look good, and I think with my mum, she doesn't like really restrictive tight clothing. She likes things to be comfortable and she can move around in them, so I don't think it'll be an issue. Which means that, yeah, I've just got to do the sleeve, and then the pattern says to do a rolled hem on this neckline. And I'm really tempted to not do it because, like, how am I supposed to get the tension exactly right so it rolls right? I kind of just want to do a rib, but I don't think that's not what she wanted. So now I'm of two minds. So hopefully next podcast when I check in with you, I'll be able to tell you what I ended up doing. I'm freaking out thinking about it because I don't want to make a choice because I'm scared of making the wrong one. But you know what happens when you do that? You make the wrong choice because doing nothing is the wrong choice. Anyway, lots of progress on that one. Really excited to finish it. That one is also just an acrylic yarn because kind of the theme of the first few months of this year has been pulling out whips that I hadn't touched in like months, and then I started ages ago, like years ago, and that's one of them. And at that point in time, I was basically only working with acrylic, so it is a lot of acrylic projects, and I don't have a thing against acrylic. Like, I understand the pros and cons, I understand why some people choose not to work with it at all, but to each make of their own. That yarn is just black. It is the Soft as Butter yarn, which is, I think, from... Gosh, I'll have to find out. I'll have to find out who it's from, but it's like a very common brand. I think it's an American brand, but if you can find an American yarn brand in a store in Australia, like Spotlight or Lincraft, that has to be a super common American brand because we don't get anything here, like anything. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. And then another great progress shot. So last time I talked about these socks, which are the Winter's Frost socks by This Handmade Life, I think is her username. It's a free pattern and it's gorgeous. As I mentioned previously, look at that lace work. I'm so talented. But last time I showed you the second sock that I was working on for this, I had just started the lace work, like off the cuff here. And now look, I'm working on the foot. Look at that. Beautiful heel here, like a slip stitch heel. Now I'm just doing the foot, and then I actually did an anatomical toe on this one, and thank God I took notes. I was like, I'm not gonna remember what I did for this, but yeah, that's what it looks like, the anatomical toe. And I think that it works. I mean, that's quite a sharp edge. I remember this being rounder. Hopefully it rounds when I block it. But I think an anatomical toe works for this pair of socks because of where the lace pattern sits. You kind of have to wear them a certain way. So it's not like I'm going to get them switched and then like halfway be out the door and be like, why do my feet feel weird? So I'm really excited to finish these socks. And I already know that I'm going to style them with my docs. I'm really excited to see how they look. If they look ugly, I will cry. But that is the risk you take when you craft. Sometimes you make ugly stuff. Lots of progress on this one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have these finished by the next podcast, which is cool. Another finished object. And I really like working with this yarn. This is just, actually I have the label here because I had to cake up some more to finish the second sock. It is Stroll, fingering weight yarn from Knit Picks, but it's in the colorway Bear, so it's the undyed variety, and I just think it's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Although, I don't know if you buy into color analysis. I think I'm apparently a winter, so I shouldn't be wearing off-whites. I should be wearing like bright whites. But I don't care because I really like off-whites, so oh well. The other thing is that with the kind of rule I set myself this year where I don't want to be working on more than, or I don't really want to have more than 3 whips flying around at a time, unless I have a very specific project I'm working on. Like, then I think I'd let myself have a bit more leeway, but just in terms of like day-to-day knitting, I don't want to have more than 3 whips or things that are like languishing and on my mind. So this is another one that I started a long time ago. And I need to finish. Because I love this pattern and I want to be able to wear this when it gets cold again. And this is the Sophie shawl by Petite Knit. I mean, I'm sure I don't need to tell you that if you're on the knitting side of any social media. And this one is really cool because I actually mixed bare, so you can tell. Here we go. It's 2 strands of bare held with 1 strand of, I think it's Hanabi, like, which means spring. Hanabi, which means firework. I'll have to double check. But this is a Big Little Yarn Co. hand-dyed yarn, and I love Big Little Yarn Co's yarns. They're beautiful. She just has such a way with color. And you can see here that when it's mixed with the bare yarn, when the color does peek through, it almost has this like fairy bread, kind of like funfetti look to it, which I think is just so fun and so lovely. Like, it's not committing to color too much because like that's a lot for me, but it'll still be like a fun pop of color when it's cold and miserable outside, you know? So I think this is going to be reintroduced as my 3rd whip. Don't know when I'll have this finished, but oh my god, look at that. Like, wait, this might be covered in like hair and yarn, dust. Yarn, covered in yarn, of course, duh. You know how people say that like yarn looks best when it's caked up or like rolled up? I think I might believe that. Like, oh, I just want to eat that. Like, anyway, really excited to get this finished because this is kind of the last languishing whip that I have on my mind and I have on my plate. And I got the one that was freaking me out the most off my plate with the calcifer beanie. So now the world's my oyster. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. I am getting the itch to cast on a new project. I don't know what that'll be yet though. I think I want to work with cotton. I haven't done a project in cotton in a while and I have a lot of cotton. But actually, speaking of which, I should give you the stash busting update. So because I already filmed this episode, I've worked out how much yarn this used. I used all of this blue, but obviously these two, it's not as much. I've actually got quite a bit left over. Yeah. Oh, they look pretty on camera. They look better here than they do. Maybe I shouldn't have used this blue. Maybe it washes it out. I don't know. Too late. Too late to think about now. It's all knotted together on the inside. I'm not undoing it. But it used 180 grams of yarn, so almost 2 skeins. But haha, my sister, she's a teacher, and she came to me the other day and said, hey, this is gonna, like, you're free to say no, but I kind of need yarn for a class activity that we're doing. Do you have any to spare? And I was like, do I? So I ended up giving her 4 skeins of just like yarn, mill end yarn, acrylic yarn that I had lying around in different colors. And that was 4 100 gram skeins. So bonus, I've taken away an extra 4 skeins from my stash. And you know what? I'm not against donating or giving away some more of my yarn. But I don't know, mentally, maybe this is like just an arbitrary thing I've put in my brain, but mentally it felt like a bit of a cop-out. Like, it was like, I got myself into this situation. I should be creatively applying myself to actually get use and enjoyment out of these yarns before I kind of put my hands up and go, I can't do it. This yarn is going to be enjoyed by someone else. I need to give it away. Like, obviously I don't have negative feelings towards doing that, and I think it might just be a mental, like, limit that I've set myself. But I felt okay with giving my sister this yarn because, like, that's like personally someone that I'm giving the yarn. Like, I don't know, it felt small scale. It is all very arbitrary, realistically. All of this is very arbitrary. But I gave her those 4 skeins of yarn, which means that we're going from 208.5 skeins to 200 point... What did I say? 200.7? That's not right. Wait. Yes, that's right. 202.7 skeins. So making progress. We're almost under 200 again. We probably will actually, I don't know, we might get under 200 next podcast, depending on how I go with the sweater. But I'm feeling optimistic and I'm really loving knitting. I'm so shameless about it as well. Like on my commute to work, I'll be walking knitting. People sometimes react, like most of the time people react really nicely. But I think like it always makes me go a bit like, oh, like don't perceive me doing this, please. But you know, it's nice that people usually just have really nice things to say about the hobby, and maybe it'll get people into it more, which would be really cool. But yeah, I'm really enjoying knitting again, and I'm excited to hopefully get started on something new next month, because I am either going to finish the socks or the sweater. Surely one of those is going to get finished, which means I'm going to look to a new project, and you'll be the first to know what that is, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. I will hopefully see you next time, and if I don't, hope you have a great month. Bye!